So keep in mind we are a quant strategy, which is to say that we're not making any tactical or emotional decisions around what's in the portfolio, why we buy it, or frankly, why we sell it. There is one exception to that. And before I deal with the exception, let me actually deal with the rule. The rule is that every year when we rebalance, when we do the major rebalance of the portfolio, we take a fresh look at ESG scoring relative to industry group peers. We take a fresh look at fundamental financial strengths and weaknesses, and ultimately we derive a portfolio, which is essentially the portfolio for a full year. The exception to that is if there is an ethical problem with one of the holdings in the portfolio, and twice over 4.5 years of track record, we've actually made the decision, or I should say I've made the decision as the PM, to actually remove a position from the portfolio. The first was in September of 2016, and the issue was Wells Fargo. And everybody's familiar with Wells Fargo because they're spending $100 million on advertising right now trying to pretend that they're a startup, and we can all forget about all the things in the past. But the point was, it was pretty obvious to me, and pretty quickly obvious, that they had a governance problem and they had things out of control and they were defrauding their customers. And interestingly, we had just done a quarterly rebalance of the portfolio, so it was certainly inconvenient news to start getting data feeds basically talking about all of the revelations of the the fraud going on at Wells Fargo, but it took about 15 minutes for me to make a decision to actually remove Wells Fargo from the portfolio. The second time the same situation happened was actually in February or March of this year, and the issue was Facebook. It was a harder decision. It involved another firm that violated a contract, but what was clear to me is that this was a company that was either blissfully naive about their responsibilities, or more likely they lacked the systems and procedures and proper governance in order to understand that this was an issue. In fact, they were under a FTC, I believe it was, consent decree since 2011 to actually clean up and manage and report on and monitor issues surrounding data privacy, and they really just sort of dropped the ball on that. So I made the decision to remove them from the portfolio. So in terms of sell discipline, it is quantitative, it is driven by models. However, there is a human override in the situation where there is some unethical behavior, which was undetectable through all of the various data screens and filters that we deploy as an ordinary part of portfolio construction.